Alton Towers and Thorpe Park are two of the biggest and best UK theme parks, and they have big cult fan base followings, which often leads to the debate of which roller coaster park is better. Is it Thorpe Park or is it Alton Towers? Now, this is also aided by the fact, like I say, they're both in the UK, they're both owned by Merlin Entertainment, so there is a lot of debate within the UK roller coaster and theme park communities as to which park is better. In today's video, we're going to be looking at multiple different categories, like the roller coasters, the theming, dark rides, water rides, the flat ride collection, and just the overall experience that you get at both of these parks to come up with an argument as to which is the better park between Alton Towers and Thorpe Park, and to me, therefore, what is the best theme park actually within the UK as a whole. Remember, this is just my opinion. I'm sure everyone has different thoughts on the parks, everyone's going to have different personal memories from visiting both of these parks, so I'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback on my overall opinions on the parks down below, but also which park do you prefer, which park do you think has the better rides, which park has the better theming, stuff like that. I'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback down in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching today's video. If you do enjoy, please do give it a like, welcome to Coasternaut, and subscribe to the channel for more videos on Alton Towers and Thorpe Park in the future. So let's start off with water rides then. If we look at Alton Towers, they had their log flume removed a few years ago to make way for Wicker Man, the GCI wooden coaster that opened at the park in 2018. And when we look at the water ride collection at Alton Towers now, it's definitely one of the areas which is currently lacking at the park. They have Battle Galleons, which is the splash ride near Mutiny Bay. Near Mutiny Bay over in Katanga Canyon, they have the rubber dinghy rapids, I was going to call it then, the rapids ride they have. But other than that now, they don't really have many water rides at the park. There's obviously the boat ride attractions, part of the Alton Towers dungeon, but that's an upcharge attraction and isn't very popular. So within the actual park itself, there really is only sort of two main water rides within the park. I think, a classic log flume is definitely something they're missing. I'd love to see potentially a water coaster come to Alton Towers in the future. The UK doesn't have any water rides, any water coasters. So, something like that would be great for Alton Towers. They're definitely lacking in the water ride department. If we make our way down south over towards Thorpe Park, I think this is definitely a point where Thorpe Park definitely picks up the point. This is 1-0 to Thorpe Park in my opinion. When you look at the water ride collection that Thorpe has, they also have a rapids ride over in the back right corner of the park. They have a large set of sort of water slides to the right when you walk in. They have Tidal Wave, the Intamin chute ride. They have the large rapid ride, I should say, where you sit in a dinghy, and it's sort of a slide near the centre of the park. They have the Amity Cove area. That's a whole area themed to water and sort of a cove and piratey sort of themed. And for me, this is definitely, like I say, easily 1-0 to Thorpe. Water rides are, definitely an area of the park where Alton Towers is lacking. And for me, there's definitely an area that Alton can improve on. But Thorpe could still have something more modernised. I think a water coaster would be great for Thorpe as well. From Mack or Intamin, that would be fantastic. But it's definitely an area where Thorpe is ahead of Alton Towers. They also had their log flume removed, Loggers Leap. That's where Project Exodus is going to be built in the back left of the park. But this is definitely an area where, given the current rides and attractions at the park, Thorpe has the edge. Let's look at the new attractions coming in 2024 and 2025. And to start Alton Towers again, this is where we have a Nemesis being completely retracked and reopened for 2024. This, an absolutely classic fan favourite ride at the park. Thankfully, it's come to the end of its life cycle, and the park has decided not to completely remove it and scrap it and replace it with a new coaster or a new attraction. They've decided to recognise the fact that fans love this coaster and decided to completely retrack it. We saw this happen to the Incredible Hulk over at Islands of Adventure in Orlando, and it's great to see that with these older B&M coasters, there is the possibility to retrack them if they're popular enough. In 2025, it looks as if Alton Towers is also getting an indoor roller coaster, looking likely to be an Intamin multi-dimension coaster similar to Movie Tour at Studio Tour, at Movie Park Germany, or Portaventure's new Uncharted coaster. I think this will be a really great few additions to the park. But once again, I think this is probably where Thorpe edges it. In 2024, they're getting the Mack Hypercoaster, Project Exodus. I think, again, this is probably going to be the best roller coaster in the UK when it opens. I think the current best coaster in the UK is Icon at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, but the UK forever has had good coasters, such as Nemesis, such as Icon, the Smiler, etc. But these are just good coasters, nothing in the UK is truly outstanding that people could argue, yes, that is a top 10 coaster, that is up there with, Iron Quasi, Velocicoaster, but I truly think Project Exodus could be that top 10 arguable coaster. That first drop looks insane. I think the inversions are so high off the ground, it's going to be so fast. The airtime, I think it's going to be absolutely crazy. These absolutely insane, awesome elements you're going to have with just a Mack Ride's lap bar restraint. I think you're going to get absolutely crazy ejector airtime in this ride. It's a short ride, don't get me wrong, it's very unique though, and it's going to look very striking on the Thorpe skyline. So for me, we don't know much about the future of Thorpe Park. Alton Towers has definitely been far more consistent with their additions in the recent years as compared to Thorpe's. This might be the only new addition for a while at Thorpe compared to Alton, but I do think from what we know about the current futures of the park, this is another point where I'm going to give it to Thorpe Park. So that's 2-0 to Thorpe Park. Let's look at the Dark Ride collection, and for me, instantly, this is an instant point back to Alton Towers, 2-1 to Thorpe. If you look at Alton Towers, they have a fantastic Dark Ride collection, classic rides such as Hex, the Legend of the Towers, the Become a Madhouse ride. That's a very unique ride in the sense that it plays off a local story, and it's set within the actual Alton Towers themselves, so it's a fantastic setting. And it's rare that within a park you get a setting like that anywhere, a big sort of castle, towers, ruins sort of area, and to have a ride actually situated within that, fantastic, and playing off folk tales of the local area, really unique, fantastic storyline. They also have Nemesis Subterra that recently reopened this year, and that is a fantastic dark ride. Very unique ride system within there. The indoor drop tower, really unique. A fantastic storyline as well. I love some of the effects in there. And it's a great ride. But obviously the centrepiece of them all at Alton Towers. I was going to say Gangster Granny, but it's definitely not Gangster Granny. But that is another good dark ride there at the park for families. Is obviously the Cursed Alton Manor, the new for 2023 reimagining of Jewel, the new haunted house ride. Fantastic theming in there. Some of the best theming that we have here in the UK. A really great storyline portrayed throughout the ride. Some great experiences and special effects that we haven't got anywhere else in the UK here. Some great technologies put into place for that. And then when you go across to Thorpe, they have Ghost Train, which is, in my opinion, not as good as Darren Brown's Ghost Train, and still seems to be plagued with a bit of maintenance issues. They have The Walking Dead The Ride, which is an indoor Vekoma coaster, but it's not the greatest ride experience in the world. It's not a very thrilling coaster, and over recent years there doesn't seem to be many scare actors in there, which takes away from sort of the excitement of having The Walking Dead ride in there with scare actors. It's far better with scare actors, without them it seems a bit let down. But other than that, there's not really any dark rides at Thorpe, so for me this is definitely a point where Alton get back. And in my opinion, based on current collections, I think this is another point where Alton get back. 2-2. Let's talk about the coaster collections. Alton Towers does have a far better collection of roller coasters at the minute. Obviously, this isn't taking into account Project Exodus, which I do think will definitely boost Thorpe's collection, but in my opinion, still won't make it as good as Alton's collection. Alton Towers is an absolutely fantastic collection of rides. Some of the most unique coasters anywhere in the world. The first ever dive coaster, Oblivion. Nemesis is one of the most intense and unique B&M inverts in the world. Galactica, the first B&M flying coaster. The Smiler holds the record for the most inversions in the world with 14 inversions. These are absolutely fantastic coasters. Thorpe has, Stealth, in my opinion, that's better than Rita. But, when you look at the collection of coasters at Alton, when you try and compare and look at the counterpart of each park, I think every coaster at Alton is better than every coaster at Thorpe, other than when you look at Stealth over Rita. I would take Oblivion over Soar personally. Soar's a more complete ride, but the first drop on Oblivion's fantastic. I'd definitely take the Smiler over Colossus, Nemesis over Nemesis Inferno. I'd take Spinball Whizzer over The Walking Dead The Ride. I think the coaster collection is larger at Alton, but also definitely better. And I think Project Exodus will be the standout coaster amongst both parks when it does open, but I still don't think that elevates Thorpe's lineup just enough to actually make it in line with Alton. In my opinion, it will still be worse. When you look at the flat rides again, this is another actually point back to Thorpe. The flat ride collection at Alton is dreadful. All I need to say is the Retro Squad. How on earth does Alton really have no flat rides in the park so that they actually are forced to bring in funfair rides to bring in more capacity to the park? I think it's a really tragic state of affairs what's happened to the flat rides at Alton over the past few years, seeing Enterprise removed, Ripsaw removed. The Blade is really the only classic family thrill flat ride that's at the park now, but it really is a tragic state of affairs at Alton. But I am giving the point to Thorpe here, but I wouldn't say Thorpe's is much better. We've seen rides like the Slammer removed in recent years. I think Samurai is definitely on its last legs. Rush it doesn't seem to be operating too well over the past few years as well. I think both parks are in absolutely desperate needs of, you know, new flat rides at the parks. I'm going to give the point to Thorpe, 3-2 to Thorpe, but I really do think this is definitely a point of improvement for both parks. Let's talk about the overall theming now, and I think this is once again a point to Alton. You know, fantastic areas like Forbidden Valley, X Sector and the Dark Forest, you know, these make you feel as if you're part of the area. You know, the ambient sounds and music that's played, the overall theming and all the rides, and this just isn't something which is at Thorpe. This is quite a small and simple point, but, you know, part of a theme park is how you feel when walking around the park. Alton's typically a cleaner park. You know, you feel more immersed in all the different areas. It looks a lot more nicer visually. It's a very unique area with the towers ruins and, you know, the big lake in the centre of the park. So for me, you know, the overall theming and landscaping of the park goes to Alton. When we look at food and merchandise options, I don't think food is great amongst the Merlin parks, but I would still slight this one out towards Alton. But the merchandise collection for me, once again, sort of hand in hand with the theming. You know, definitely give this one to Alton. You know, the rides have far better backstories than they do at Thorpe, and because of that, you know, they've been able to expand and give a much better merchandise range, in my opinion, for Alton Towers compared to what's offered at Thorpe. So for me, that leaves actually the final scores of all the different topics we've looked at today as 4-3 to Alton. These scores make it seem quite close. However, in my opinion, I do think, you know, as bad as it sounds, it's not necessarily maybe something that you can display statistically by comparing and contrasting different things, but when you go and visit the parks as a whole, for me personally, I prefer Alton Towers a lot more than Thorpe Park. I think Thorpe's a fantastic park. I think with Project Exodus, it will have the best coaster in the country. However, for me, I just think it's something about, you know, the overall atmosphere and immersion that you get walking around the different areas of Alton Towers with the different soundtracks and the different stories behind all the rides and attractions there. The fantastic collection of coasters, you know, all of their awesome dark rides that they have. For me, Alton Towers is the best park out of these two and the best park here in the UK. But what do you guys think? I'd love to hear what you make of, you know, Alton Towers and Thorpe Park when you compare and contrast the two. Which park do you prefer? Why do you prefer that park? And do you think this will change in the future with some of their upcoming rides and attractions? Once again, thank you very much for watching today's video. Please do give it a like if you enjoyed. It really helps out the channel. Thank you for watching Coasternaut, and subscribe for more.